Hello and welcome to the Corner Flag. There's a managerial merry-go-round that we are being treated to because Bayern, Tottenham, and mainly Bayern and Tottenham are both involved. This is episode 208. Welcome to episode 208 of the Corner Flag. It's going to be a short episode this week. I'm going to say that up front itself because it's not like there's a lot of club football happening. It's the international weekend. So not too much football to talk about, but there is a big story that we have to talk about regarding certain German and Italian managers who have left their post and have got a new job and are looking for a new job. So lots of juicy chat, and joining me in this juicy chat today is Mukesh Manjunath.
Hello.
And along with Mukesh Manjunath is our very dear friend, Mr. Prashant Soni. Prashant is back on the pod today, guys.
Yes, I'm back.
That is the most excitement I have heard or seen Prashant give on the podcast ever.
That is the most excitement I have seen anyone give this podcast ever.
That is true. That is true. I think that's what happens with being a married man, because Prashant, my friend, is married. This is his first post-marriage podcast. So congratulations to Prashant, everybody. Claps, 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 claps.
Claps. Wow. Claps,
Thank
claps,
you,
claps, everybody.
Clap, clap, clap,
Yeah.
clap, clap.
Yes.
Thanks. It was so much fun.
How is married life, Prashant? Because football can wait.
Can it? I mean, actually,
Yes.
yeah. We got a really long break, so I think we can take our time with international break and talk about my married life now.
Yes, we can. Because there is, I don't know if you guys can hear it in the final recording, but there is an ambulance
Beautiful.
behind Mukesh's house, I think.
We couldn't have planned that. How's married
Yeah.
life? हो गया बेटा शादी का लड्डू खाया आज
That was a WhatsApp joke that happened automatically. That was a universe planned WhatsApp marriage joke.
It was amazing stuff. But Prashant, you're back in Dubai as a married
Yes.
man, living a settled life, which is fantastic.
settled. Yes.
Yes. I also have to say that Prashant has joined us because, like I said, he is in Dubai. He's moved to Dubai now, so it's a little tough for him to come to the studio on Mondays. Every Monday, Dubai to
Yeah.
Bombay. It's a bit of
Basically.
a long journey.
Career
Traffic
इतना
बहुत-
भी अच्छा चल नहीं रहा है किसी का.
कुछ नहीं. I'll sell my 1 or 2 oil barrels over here and तुम लोग को I'll meet on Monday in the
Exactly.
afternoon.
Exactly. We're doing this recording remotely today because our sound engineer has decided to go to Bangalore to have some fun. These people, young people, I tell you, taking
Nice.
holidays and all, not knowing how to hustle. But but it is good. It is good. A byproduct of that is that Prashant gets to come back on the podcast.
Fucking love it.
I feel like the excitement has already dwindled down.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Honestly, from the time that I've thought that I want to get back onto the episode, and Amogh and I said that, okay, you know what, let's just try and figure it out, maybe on a remote episode, something where, we'll try and figure this out. And ever since you guys have dropped episodes, I said, okay, you know what, I can't at least get in onto the action. Let me at least do my part and hear the episodes. So I've properly gone back, and on Mondays when I'm coming back from office, I'll actually hear the episodes, even if it's on fast speed or whatever. But I'll still make sure I'll be able to hear at least some parts of it. So yes, it feels amazing to be on the podcast.
It is great that Prashant in that one sentence has, heightened our expectations and then lowered them immediately.
By saying he listens to it on fast because he doesn't have the patience for us.
Nahi,
Well,
patience to
guess
baat nahi hai.
what, Prashant? I'm going to speak at this speed so that it sounds normal even when you listen to it as 1.5.
Shit, you also know that, huh? Excellent. Correct.
I think this is perfect. No, let's not waste everybody else's time. I'm just happy that we have one more listener. And I was just wondering, I've been seeing our analytics and I'm like, oh, UAE से एक listen regularly आ रहा है. ये कौन है भाई? Now I know. But also while you're talking about the geography of our listeners, I've been noticing for the last few episodes, there is one or maybe two regular listeners from Bangladesh. So shout out to our Bangladeshi listeners. This is not just a mistake that somebody from Bangladesh has just stumbled upon our podcast and played it by mistake and said, fuck it, I don't care about this shit anymore. क्योंकि वो भी बहुत सारा होता है. Like we have some listeners in in Thailand and all, which I guess are like mistakes. If you're not mistakes, Thai people who are listening to us, very sorry. Write into us. Yeah, guys, write into us.
I want to know you guys.
Exactly. Corner Flag Pod on Instagram and Twitter. We'd love to hear from our Thai listeners, from our Bangladeshi listeners, from our Saudi Arabian listeners. Although that just could be Prashant using a VPN.
That's also true. Yes, that first part is 100% right. You know what's just going to happen now? Next week when we put up the question, everyone's like, I am from Saudi Arabia, I am from Bangladesh, I am from Thailand to take my questions. तू बॉम्बे से है, पता है मेरे को, शिवाजी पार्क में बैठा है तो.
I feel like a lot of our regular listeners might also start using the VPN just to be like, hey, wouldn't it be amazing if we said, oh, we are from China and we are listening to this podcast?
Let's fuck
this will
stats.
fuck around with the team.
Correct. Let's fuck the stats.
Yeah, but it's also nice because maybe they're putting in the effort to make us feel really happy.
Right.
They're like, wow, we're getting Polish listeners. Our expertise is relevant in Europe.
No, it's great. So let's get back to the football now. Like I said, international week, so not too much club football happening. But the big news, which happened over the last few days, is that Julian Nagelsmann was fired as head coach of Bayern Munich, and in the same statement and almost overnight, Bayern Munich announced the appointment of Thomas Tuchel as their new first team manager. Now, Prashant, I'm going to let you speak because you have been away from this podcast for way too long. Also, as a Chelsea fan, you have experienced Thomas Tuchel. What do you think about this appointment, straight up?
I think it's great, man. I mean, I think he was always comfortable with the German setup of football, right? He always was comfortable and he wanted to experiment elsewhere. So he did that and he went to PSG, etc., etc. He's done all of that stuff. But I think him being him, and he knows everyone knows how he kind of performs, right? And how his tactics are. I'm kind of happy, man, that he goes back to Bayern, and I'm sure he will be okay. I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm really actually quite happy that he got the job over there. So I hope they win the Champions League. Why not? I mean,
that is actually very true, because now Bayern Munich are in the Champions League, of course, and they're playing Man City in the quarterfinals, right?
Yeah.
So that's a very, very juicy tie for them to play with Tuchel. But Mookie, do you think that Tuchel is the guy who can get them that Champions League this season?
I think okay. So I want to take this into two parts. First, let's check if one is about Bayern's domestic form, and then is Bayern's Champions League ambitions. I think in terms of Champions League ambitions, I think comfortably Tuchel is capable of, just given also the talent pool at the disposal of Bayern, they comfortably can reach semis. And after that is when really Tuchel's managerial skills come into fore, which I don't know what changes he's got in. Like, I'm excited to see, because I think if it's old Tuchel that we've seen so far, it might not be enough, because that first wave of Tuchel-isms got him till the Chelsea Champions League, right? Starting with Mainz, taking a leap with Dortmund and then culminating with Chelsea. And after that, he was sort of figured out his attacking form, it's that sort of heavy-minded German attacking nature that was sort of figured out in the Premier League itself. But I think because, again, I would say the Bundesliga is a slightly inferior league, barring Bayern themselves. I think they have the talent at disposal to reach the semis, but when they meet the real opposition, which I think only happens at the level of semis for a team like Bayern, I don't think, unless Tuchel has something up his sleeve, like some new tactics, I don't think he can take them till the finals. I don't like if he tries to implement what he tried at Chelsea. And regarding Bayern's domestic form, is actually where I think I'm excited to see what Tuchel does, because I think Nagelsmann has been failing a little bit in the domestic cups and leagues, if I'm not wrong, because I think they had lost to Leverkusen, and I think that was one of the fatal, that was one of the big ones that decided his career, Nagelsmann's career. So I think, this is the tightest the title race has been ever. So I think more than the Champions League, I'd like to see if Tuchel can just kill the race and make them the winners of a league that they should be comfortably winning.
Right, but when you talk about their form domestically, like the table up at the top, at least between the top two sides, is really, really close, right? Because Dortmund is leading right now with 53 points, but Bayern are just 1 point behind them in second place. So I don't know what the thinking was behind sacking Nagelsmann. You mentioned the Leverkusen result, and yes, that is a damning result for a team like Bayern Munich. But I feel like overall also Nagelsmann has been thrown into the deep end at Bayern Munich because in his first season itself, I think it was his first season when they sold Lewandowski. Now he was a talismanic player for Bayern Munich, right? And he has not been replaced. I feel the only goal scoring outlet that they have after Lewandowski right now, and somebody who's been performing really well, is Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. The problem is he is not the personality that Robert Lewandowski is. He's not the same guy in the dressing room that Robert Lewandowski is. There is an opening right now for the top dog, so to speak, and that is not being filled. And in the middle of all of that, in the middle of all those egos, in the middle of that little bit of a disarray, Nagelsmann has still been doing his absolute best to keep the ship afloat, to keep them in the running. And I think he's done a good job. And I don't see what Tuchel brings to this Bayern Munich side that Nagelsmann could not.
Yeah, I think maybe Tuchel just brings Champions League winning experience. I think that's the primary. Maybe that is how they're thinking. That is like he brings in that Champions League winning form because he's reached a final, lost it, and come back to win it. So that's you have someone who's won at the highest level and lost at the highest level and has a comeback. So maybe that is the logic behind it. That maybe that in the long run, okay, even if they have a freak season and say Bayern Munich comes second in the league this season, right? In next season, there's a good chance you would still make them as front runners to win the title next season and the season after that. They have the depth and they have the money and the ability to pull talent at that level, right? Which is probably what the thinking is, that they need to. The only real test for Bayern Munich is always going to be the Champions League. So I think the ideas can be who's the only Champions League winning manager who's around, other than who I'm guessing Ancelotti next year maybe. But other than that, who's the only one who's around? And I think it just looks like Tuchel was the best bet to constantly win the Champions League.
I think it's also the logic of even having to have Tuchel in Bayern is also more like logic of that he's trying to come in with a team that doesn't have they don't have that star player feel thing like how Amogh was mentioning. It's not like he's worked with the star players, he's worked with like a non-star, but he knows how to make a mid-level player be the best, or maybe try and find tactics who can actually unlock certain things, maybe from the defense, maybe from the midfield. We don't know. He's probably got that understanding. It doesn't have to be the Champions League mentality, but he knows that he's worked with on both ends of the spectrum. So something to do with Bayern could be that, they probably want to get a star player. We don't know that. Maybe they want to create a new star player. Maybe they want to find stability for the next coming few years. We don't know this. But he seems like the safest bet, or like the most understanding person at this point to do this.
Yeah, also because I guess he's worked for Borussia Dortmund. They're like, okay, there's a secret. They're like, tell us the secrets.
Correct.
Leak them, let's see. And he's like, yeah, guys, so they basically eat pork for lunch, they eat chicken for dinner, and this is how we get a food poisoning. And that's probably the primary reason.
Do you think also it was Nagelsmann's age? Because Nagelsmann's only 35. Right, like he's one of the youngest coaches out there. He's one of the most mercurial coaches out there for sure. He's definitely a young coach to watch out for. But at the end of the day, he is still 35. And do you think it was his age that kind of got in the way of him managing his players better in terms of commanding their respect to a certain extent?
I doubt players didn't respect him. There's this other gossip that's going around, right? Which is, which you guys hear about the gossip that's as to why he got fired, which is the fact that his girlfriend used to work for a German newspaper called Bild, which is I think their primary biggest publication, and that the team's secrets were revealed out into the public a day before. Team secrets and tactics were revealed. Were in publication a day before the game, which I'm guessing, which is sacrilege for professional teams at that level, and everyone's saying that could have only happened if he had reveal them to his girlfriend. But the irony is that apparently she quit the job after becoming his girlfriend, and also she broke up with him uh, after he got sacked.
What?
So I'm like, okay, I feel like, oh shit, am I the Miss Malini of German football? Miss Manjunath.
Yeah.
But also, like, this is you never, like, so much of what we're trying to analyze about footballing decisions, right? And so many of the reasons we're coming up with seem to be tactical, analytical, but maybe it's just because one day he was super frustrated and he's like, oh, should I go for a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3? And he asked her to pick fingers and he went to pick 4-2-3-1, and then she just, how can you use tactics to understand this decision?
Yeah.
When it's probably something personal. I'm not saying it is, but it could be something personal.
I do feel bad for him though, because getting sacked by Bayern Munich and getting dumped by your girlfriend who was so close to each other must be like fucking awful. However, he, like, being 35, being relatively young, he is at the best point in his life right now to just be like, fuck it, I'm going on a vacation, solo trip. I'm going to go find myself, because he has the fuck off money. He has all the time in the world now. He's not committed to anything or anyone. Just fucking go out there, have a great time, Julian. And we know this because Thomas Tuchel himself went to Kerala for like a detox, Ayurvedic detox, right? Maybe don't do that shit. You're not that old yet. You're still only 35.
Yeah,
Maybe
he can
go
do
to,
some
like,
Ranbir.
Wake.
He can do some nice Ranbir Kapoor stuff. Do some Matar Gashti and all. He can dance to.
Wow. I can't believe the South Indian has used Matar Gashti. Do you even know what that fucking means?
Oh, I have no idea. I just thought it was like a nonsense word. Like, let's have fun. Like,
because even I have no idea.
Yeah, I thought it just like do some dhinga chaka, like, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. For a minute, when you were saying Ranbir Kapoor, for a split second in my head, I was going, is he going to say Randi? And I was like, fuck, that is like next level. But thankfully you didn't. Right. Now the thing is, because Nagelsmann is out of a job, there is one job in particular that he is heavily linked to, because that job has also recently gotten vacant. And we're talking about Spurs, which we will talk about in more detail on the other side. So we'll take a quick break here. On the other side, we'll answer your questions. And we'll also talk about what Conte sacking at Spurs means. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Corner Flag, everybody. And as always, we begin the second half with some questions. Questions with the Corner Flag.
Dude, answers also, huh?
Okay, first question is by Fazil Abbas Banatwala. Why are you recording during international break? Break le lo bhai log.
Oh,
Nahi yaar. I mean, it's very cute that, Fazil, you think about our mental health and our just general well-being, but a job must be done. We are here to serve the people, the 5 people who listen to us.
Also, we don't have friends. Or why do you need a break when the whole week itself is the break?
Yeah.
To be precise, along that, Krishiv25 and Akash Goswami have both asked questions which are similar. They said, Krishiv says, क्या पूछूं समझ नहीं आ रहा है इंटरनेशनल ब्रेक में वैसे भी क्या है? And Akash Goswami just says, bye.
I love it. I love how clueless our listeners also are, as clueless as us, because we are doing this episode without a run order. We are totally winging this. We are only going to talk about the managerial merry-go-round, so that's all we have to talk about. There's no run order.
Also, this is the only fandom that has just told the creators to be like, dude, just stop now, like take a break. Every other fandom is like, we want more. We want more of the people we love. But only the listeners of the podcast are like, guys, you want us to stop listening to you guys? Stop, please. You think BTS gets this bullshit? They're like, Park Jun-suk, can you calm down, or whatever his name is, or whatever their names are.
I don't know if I should be happy about our listeners caring about our well-being, or unhappy that they just want us to stop. It's okay, guys. We don't need the podcast every week, guys. It's fine. 1 week we can go without the podcast. We don't need that update in our podcast app saying the Corner Flag has uploaded a new episode. We don't need it. We don't need to be forced to listen to it. one Monday, one Tuesday, we can listen to our own thoughts. That is absolutely fine, guys. I don't know if I should be happy or sad about this, but I choose to be happy because I'm a glass half full kind of person.
Of course.
So there you go. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Krishiv.
And Fazila Bas Banatwala.
And Fazila
Arbeen R says, just for a change, predict the IPL winners.
Oh, that's actually a very good question. Always Sunrisers.
Mumbai Indians.
Sunrisers. Hyderabad.
Chennai.
Why?
I don't know. Why? I mean, just predict it, right? No? Why not?
But now to there's a Gujarat also. What is Gujarat Lions?
Yeah.
Lions, huh? They are.
I don't know.
Like kittens or something. I don't know. Mao.
Oh, they won the last IPL, dude. What kittens?
मैं किधर देखता है IPL अमोघ?
That's true. हम लोग नहीं देखते IPL भाई लोग तो हम लोग को नहीं पता.
I watch all the Hyderabad games. I don't watch the IPL. I just watch whatever has Hyderabad in it. Like that's the problem. I'm watching Kabaddi also.
And what else are you watching? Kho also you're watching?
No, but I actually saw the badminton league, guys. They had fewer audience members than the people who are in the podcast right now.
Oh, wow. That sucks. That's sad. That's very sad.
The next one is by I am Rahul Nagarajan. This is the right.
Okay, wait. Guys, first, can we give some shit back to our listeners? Hey, guys, if you're hating on us for doing the podcast during a break week, why are you guys sending us questions? You also take a break from asking these questions. Yes.
Rahul says the right striker for Manchester United? Question mark.
I really like the looks of Victor Osimhen, man. I hope that we get him. He's the young striker on the block. Napoli. Mukesh, I see the confused look on your face. He's the striker for Napoli, who's doing really well in the Champions League right now.
I know. If I was trying to place which club, I know of him. But
I feel like he's one to look out for, and it would be quite sad if he went to any other rival club. Having said that, Harry Kane also looks very, very doable.
No, not Kane. I think
why not Kane?
Not Kane. I think Kane's past that. I really think Kane has gone through that. If you said this 2 seasons ago, I would have probably said sure. Why not?
I think he still has it in him. Yeah.
I think my recommendation is Richarlison.
Correct.
I think that's the person that United should
go for sure.
The guy who has 0 goals in 27 games. That's the guy. That's the horse you want to bet on.
For sure. Next one's by Bhavneet. He says, can Tottenham now make top 4 or they can't take? Like they can't.
Oh, how cute.
अरे क्या पन मारा है भवनीत सर ने. क्या पन मारा है. Amazing pun by Bhavneet. It depends on who they hire, right? Like it depends entirely on who they hire. Christian Stellini is going to be the caretaker manager, and while Conte has been out recovering from his gallbladder surgery, with a few matches that Stellini took charge of, Tottenham actually did look good. They got some good results in that period as well. So maybe that kind of goes on. But if, and we'll talk about this in more detail once the questions are all done, but if Nagelsmann is actually going to be considered for the Spurs job and he actually does take it, then that's a new manager bounce that can really, really work for them. So it honestly depends entirely on who their permanent manager is. So let's see.
Okay. Last 2 questions. First one's by Noob Clicks. He says, can Manchester United get top 2?
Tough hai. Top 2 tough hai.
Tough. थोड़ा मतलब रगड़ना पड़ेगा थोड़ा. Little.
Tough. Otherwise very doable, but slightly tough. Slim chance.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Now, on that note, the last question is by Shru8. That's Shushti. She says, can we not get Mukesh on the week's Liverpool wins?
Which are those weeks? I'm waiting for those weeks when Liverpool wins. I'm also waiting for that.
I think I think there's going to be there's going to be some scheduling conflict the next time Liverpool wins. Mukesh is just unfortunately going to be unavailable, and then 2 weeks later when he does manage to come on the podcast, you're going to be like, "Acha guys, but 2 weeks ago Liverpool won. Can we please talk about that? Please, I really want to talk about that." Like ये पुराना चावल है, bro. क्यों बात करें इसके बारे में?
I feel like that would have sounded true had Liverpool won enough games. Yeah, there have been such few games that Liverpool have won that I don't feel like I've really missed anything. So we're done with that on that very sad note.
Yeah.
On that note, questions are over, guys.
Awesome.
Yay.
Thank you guys for writing in as always and checking on us and caring about our well-being. Even though Mukesh thinks you guys should take a break, please don't take a break. Please keep writing in because we like listening to what you have to say. Right. Now let's talk about the Tottenham job because Antonio Conte late last night India time, I think around 3:30 a.m. India time, is when Tottenham announced that they have parted with Antonio Conte with mutual consent. His contract was terminated. I don't think there was too much mutual consent there. I mean, he basically was begging to be fired.
Yeah.
And we spoke about this, Mugi, on the last episode. We spoke about him wanting to leave this job, and he's got what he wanted. It was bound to happen, right? Was anybody surprised by this decision by Tottenham?
Yeah, I'll tell you who was surprised. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for the episode, so I can tell you this now. Lukaku.
Okay.
Because they planned this. They both went behind. They both went to the press. They both did this as a pattern, and they both want the job back to Inter. So,
So you think Conte is going to go to Inter?
I mean, if he gets the opportunity, why not? He's definitely going to go back.
Yeah, that's true. He might.
I think Conte
enjoy
and Nagelsmann should go on a tour together. I think that's the trips that I want to see happen.
No, but that's see the thing is, I mean, look, we knew that Conte was unhappy at Spurs for whatever reason. He wasn't able to get a tune out of his players. He wasn't able to get them firing on all cylinders. And at some point, he just decided, yeah, fuck it, it's not worth it. मेरे को इधर कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला है. मैं घर जा रहा है. But what this means is, what Spurs need right now is a manager who can rebuild, right? And for a long time, Spurs fans have been talking about the prospect of Mauricio Pochettino coming back. Firstly, what do you guys think about the prospect of Pochettino coming back to Spurs? Do you think that would be a good idea?
No.
Why not?
I don't think the owners were really happy with having Poch in the first place.
Why?
Like, he may have got the club to a certain level, but they wanted to go beyond that, and they were very vocal about that. Having to come back to Poch just feels like they will reduce the level. I don't think an owner will do that. I don't.
Okay, fair. But I mean, having said that, he's the only manager who's got Spurs to a Champions League final.
Correct.
So,
but
you know,
like if they don't like him, they won't get him. पैसा उन लोग के पास है, हम लोग के पास नहीं है. तो
नहीं वो तो है. But I'm saying that purely on a tactical basis, don't you think that Poch would be a good idea for them to go back?
Sure, they can come back and then rebuild all over again.
I think Pochettino seems like a nostalgia hire. Like, you know, there's been a bit of a bad blood with the way
Contonio. I love it.
Antonio Conte has exited. So I think it's to sort of like piece together the team again. Now, whether he has I'm not sure if he has the requisite skills to, like, I think technically Tottenham are in a decent position. If you remove the top two, they're in contention for the top four, and they're probably the third or fourth best team in the remaining of the remaining teams. And you know, it seems like they're in a good place. But now, his real challenge will come next season, and I don't know if Poch has what it takes in him to bring them back, because when the season he got fired, he seemed tactically done. And if the issue was that, you know, they wouldn't let him, if it was a hiring with the right players issue, then I don't know why they would do it now if they couldn't do it then. Like, I don't know. Like, I think Poch seems like right now there's a sense of he was wronged. Or maybe that narrative is good for him, for his career from now onwards, but I don't want him to come back and find out that no, they were actually right in firing him. So I think maybe Tottenham needs to go in a different direction that isn't about nostalgia.
Right. And I do kind of agree. I also feel like as widely regarded and as highly regarded Pochettino is for what he did with that Spurs team, a lot of that team is not at the club anymore, right? Like Vertonghen's not there, Alderweireld is not there. So a big spine, Moussa Dembele, all those guys are not there. So it is going to be a tougher rebuild for somebody like him. And I feel like we spoke about this, the new manager bounce that they could potentially get won't be as high with Pochettino as it would be with anybody else. And the anybody else that I'm talking about is a dynamic young manager who is recently been fired from his last job, so is available on the market. Julian Nagelsmann.
Oh, I've heard of that guy.
Yeah, I'm fucking. Like, I can't. Spurs fans right now must be salivating at the prospect of the possibility of Nagelsmann managing their team. And if I was Daniel Levy, I would do whatever it takes to sign him up right now. Whatever it takes. Whether you're signing him up immediately to take over immediately, or if he wants some time off and he wants to join next season because there's only 10 games left, sign a pre-contract with him, get him in next season, get him in early, get him to do the preseason with them. But that is a manager that Spurs need right now, because he is a young manager who can rebuild a squad. He can work with the players that he has. He can add new players to it. Coaching wise, he's a brilliant coach, because we're seeing how Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting has been playing at Bayern Munich, and that's purely down to coaching. Like, he is having the best time of his life at the age that he's at, later on in his career. So I think he's definitely a manager who can make this team click. They just need to get him.
I would be happier if Tottenham go for a slightly left of center pick, like a Thomas Frank. I don't know, someone from from the Premier League, someone how they did it with Pochettino in the first place, right? He was at, I think, Southampton, and they pumped him up to Tottenham, and then he took them to the Champions League. I think because I feel like the world needs a new, just a new wave of managers to rise. Yeah. And I feel like this is a good time to take a bet. I mean, I know it's easier for the fans, but I think just as a spectator and with someone who's no real money involved in this, it'll be nice for them to take a bet on a Thomas Frank or the guy at Celtic. I mean, he has a very complicated name, some Conte or something. Or even Postecoglou. That's what I was saying. Yeah, that's the one.
Exactly what he was saying.
Or De Zerbi.
Please don't get De Zerbi out of Brighton. Brighton have already lost Potter. They're doing great with De Zerbi. I like to see Brighton do well.
But yeah, so I think one of these sort of hirings, just so that just to sort of just to push some new talent out into the market, which is the least Tottenham can do for being such a banter club right now.
Yeah, absolutely right. Before we end the podcast, we'll also quickly talk about the new manager at Crystal Palace, who is the old manager of Crystal Palace, and the old manager in life. 75-year-old Roy Hodgson is back, baby.
Yeah.
Former England, former Liverpool manager Roy Hodgson is back for his third stint.
The wonder grandfather.
Yeah. Oh man, Crystal Palace really need to figure their shit out. They need to figure their shit out. I think Hodgson's only job is going to be to keep Palace up. Don't make any unnecessary changes. Just do what you can to keep the team up. Then you can finally retire for good till next season, when we will need you back again, because the other European manager that we've hired then has not worked out either. It is ridiculous what's happening with Crystal Palace.
You know what's really interesting about that piece of news? When I read it, I was just in an era where clubs are trying to hire old players, or try and get big name players. Hodgson is the manager that Crystal Palace can relate to. They're he's been there for all the years, right? So they're let's just bring him back. We don't want any of those big players. We just want a main man. You know, so it's kind of I don't know, maybe to me it just seems a little heartwarming, because they would choose the manager back over than trying to get bigger players.
Yeah. Crazy. It's like a bad breakup that doesn't ever go through, right? There's no clean break involved. You just keep going back to the same shit over and over again. The man is now 75. Let him retire in peace, guys. He deserves some time with his grandkids, just living out on the farm, having some wine on the porch during the day, because he's earned it.
That's true.
He just needs it, man. 75 साल के आदमी को तुम लोग काम करवा रहे हो यार. शर्म करो यार, थोड़ी शर्म करो यार. Like, I don't want my parents to be working when they're 75. Like, what the fuck? Like,
I
you
don't want to
wait,
be working
wait.
at 45. So forget working at 75.
Yeah,
Oh no.
yeah. That's crazy. Right. On that note, it is time to end this episode of The Conflict. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to get in touch with us and tell us what you thought of this episode, you can reach us on our social media. You can find Prashant on Instagram at
Prash224.
You can find Mukesh on Instagram at
Mukesh Manjunath.
and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Amogh and Mukesh.
That's because his name is Postacoglu.
You got it right. Well done.
Oh, shit.
You can also follow the Corner Flag on Instagram and Twitter at @CornerFlagPod. Do visit our website, thecornerflag.in. Support us by going to buymeacoffee.com/thecornerflag. It would really help us. If you can't, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And do not forget to give us a 5-star review. We'd really, really appreciate that. Shout out to Kezad Gurda for composing our theme tune. And until next week, it is goodbye from us. So say bye, Prashant.
Bye, guys.
Say bye, Mukesh.
Bye, guys.
And it's bye from me.